Hello. I made a detour today and I ended up here. It's a beautiful view, and I really just felt like sharing what I was thinking about a few moments ago. So, the way I see it, I am a living thing on a living earth, and you are also a living thing on a living earth. And what that really is just the earth experiencing itself, or you could think of it as the universe being aware of its own existence. I don't think there's anything particularly impressive about that. It's just atoms looking at other atoms. My atoms just happen to be complex enough that the properties of consciousness and free will emerged. But theoretically, that could happen anywhere in the universe, given the right conditions. We haven't seen it anywhere else, but that's beside the point. I was thinking about how this pocket of the Earth is really thriving, at least for today. Unfortunately, because of the marvels of technology and how connected our world has become, we're aware of a lot of evils happening in the world. I think one of the biggest ones is greed. But I also think that greed is just a natural reaction to scarcity. We can't really judge each other because we all have different life experiences, and ultimately, we live in a world that has limited resources, and we are on this earth for a limited amount of time. So we have no choice but to look out for ourselves and our families. It's kind of what living things are hardwired to do, survival of the fittest. And I understand why somebody would want to set themselves up nicely, because life is pretty hellish otherwise. Because of all that, we end up in a situation where there are existential crises that are plaguing There are existential crises plaguing the world around us. And one of the issues that is dearest to my heart is the issue of climate change. We have two options going forward, as far as I'm concerned. Option one is for us to do nothing, and it's very possible that the human race will die out as a result. We can destroy the earth, and we're going to destroy ourselves in the process. The second option is to actually do something about it. The earth has plenty. I was driving one day and I came across this mural, and it said, I'm paraphrasing here, it said, everything you need in this life is already within you. And I think that's true of the resources on the earth, whether it's wind, water, solar, geothermal, nuclear. We have everything we need. We just need to be smart about using it and sharing it in the most optimal way. If we can learn to live in harmony with each other and with the rest of the natural world, the human story can continue to exist. And by the human story, I mean everything that we know about ourselves, everything that's been written down in the history books, the things that happened prehistorically that we're trying to grasp at. This is the human story, and whether or not it survives is entirely up to us, because the rest of the natural world is completely indifferent to the human story. The trees don't know about the human story, and none of the animals do either. And no one else will care if the human story continues to exist. Of course, the animals that are directly impacted by climate change have quite an interest in which decision we end up making between addressing climate change and not addressing it. But ultimately, if we think the human story is worth saving, then we have to do something about it. 1,000,000 years from now, the trees that are here will be replaced by something else. Different trees, something else entirely. Regardless of what humans do or do not do, the earth will continue with or without us. These are just the natural processes unfolding. I come back to this question time and time again. Is the human story worth saving? And the conclusion I've come to, standing out here today, is that our actions will give us that answer. So if we decide to band together, fight greed, and live in harmony with the natural world and address climate change and switch to renewable resources, that's a pretty great triumph in the human story that deserves to be recorded. And as a direct result of those actions, we will continue on, and it will be known to future generations. On the flip side, we could not address the calamities facing us in the 21st century, and maybe that's proof that the human story wasn't worth saving. And as a result of our actions, we won't continue on. So ultimately, we're at a crossroads, I believe, in the human story. Maybe this is true of all times. Maybe it's acutely true of right now. I haven't been alive long enough to know which one is the case. But the actions that you take in your life can steer us on the course that you believe is for the best, based on your faith in the human story and how worth saving it is. Thank you.